All right. Welcome back, fellow TFFL owners, to your weekly TFFL webcast. It is Wednesday, October 23rd, 2019. We are looking back at Week 7 TFFL action, looking ahead to Week 8. We're in the middle of it now. We're going to start talking. We've been resisting talking about wild card positioning and that kind of stuff, but it's time. Lots of big news, lots of key injuries this week. Two guys out for the year. Kerryon Johnson, running back for the Lizards, maybe I think could come back if the Lizards are in the Packed Bowl, maybe Week 16. But I think Kerryon Johnson basically done for the season. Today we learned Josh Gordon on IR, potentially done for the season. But I also saw the report, Chief, that the Patriots may just cut him. In which case, if some other NFL team signed him, I don't think he's on IR anymore.
Yeah, they could always release him with an injury settlement.
Right.
And I'm sure it'll be subject to waiver rules and whatever else.
After the big Mohammed
after the waiver process, and not just be a free agent.
But yeah, that's a big dent for the Dirt Devils. Hank, speaking of receivers, losing Will Fuller for, it sounds like a bad hamstring injury. I'm guessing, a month.
That's Will Fuller. You put him on the bench because he doesn't do anything, and he goes off for 30, and then you put him in the next week, and he pulls his hamstring in the first quarter after one catch for 8 yards. But I mean, what is it with this guy? He's a Ferrari. When it works, it's great, but it doesn't work that often.
He is officially injury prone.
Definitely brilliant.
Yeah.
And to think you could add Marvin Jones.
I had Marvin Jones. Yeah.
Hey, you know what? At least this time when Marvin Jones scored 4 touchdowns, he was in somebody's starting lineup.
Yeah.
So I was going to bring that up in a bit, but yeah, big revenge game for Marvin Jones against the K-Wheels in Week 7. Adam Thielen, another receiver, out at least a week for the Sponge Fishermen. Big news. It seems so long ago now, but actually it was Week 7 action. Patrick Mahomes out several weeks for the Hormel Hams, who are also missing David Johnson at running back. Basically missed all of last week. Sounds like he's going to miss Week 8 at least as well. Matt Ryan banged up a little bit for the Amsterdam Packers, and that could be an issue if he's not healthy in a couple weeks for Week 10 when Tom Brady is on a bye. So lots of injury news in Week 7. In our fantasy world, the Slippery Beavers still undefeated, 7-0 now, and another impressive performance, 83 points in Week 7. Amsterdam Packers, they just keep scoring 91 points in Week 7. They keep winning as well. They are 6-1. So the division leads, Hank's going to get to this in a moment in the standings. The big news here, though, that we'll see is the division leads have widened in all 4 divisions. Every division leader right now with at least a 2-game lead. We have the battle for NoCo supremacy ahead in Week 8, Amsterdam Packers and the Lizards. We've got a mess of a wild card race. I think 4 teams at 3 and 4, as we'll see. Probably 5 teams legitimately in that.
You're rambling about the standings, and we're just about to do this. Why don't we show the standings?
So let me introduce our panel, and then we'll do trivia, and then we'll do standings. Hank, our IT director.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Happy to be here.
And graphics coordinator.
Yes.
Berto, high command.
Yes.
Of Jack's Giant Killers. Welcome.
It's good to be back.
How are the teams doing this year that you're coaching?
Okay. So we got an A to B soccer team. They're both middling. So put it that way. Jack is playing on both.
Chief, skipper of the Sponge Fishermen.
Hello.
Are you coaching anything?
No, I'm off this year.
All right.
James moved up a level competitively. And I think I'm a little bit out of my element to be coaching these kids right now.
Yes, we've reached the end of the parental coaching years.
Yeah.
You know what's good though? The travel.
This is serious business now.
The travel soccer. We have a trainer who does the practices in season. So I just get to scream and yell on the sidelines.
Nice.
during the game. So
Luke's travel soccer thing is no joke. I mean, they got a staff of like 6 guys that are coaching the various teams, and it's real deal.
Yeah, I mean, we could pay to have somebody coach too, but we just pay for the training. But
yeah, that's fine.
All right. Let me give you a TFFL trivia question to think about, and then we'll get to the standings. I think this is a really good question. I hope I don't have it wrong. When we launched the modern era of the TFFL in 1997, there was only one franchise with a co-owner. For 4 points total, tell me the franchise for 2 points, and give me the 2 owners.
So say this again. So in 1997?
Yep. When we launched, there was just one franchise with a co-owner.
Okay.
4 points total.
So name of the franchise?
Name the franchise and tell me the 2 co-owners or the minority owner, however you want to frame it.
I'm confident I'm going to miss this.
Yeah.
I learned in researching this question, I learned some interesting things. And
I have an answer, but I'm pretty certain it's not the right one. But
I don't have an answer yet.
I had some false assumptions going in on this one. All right, Hank, the standings are now very critical.
Yes. I'm
Lots
glad
of jockeying for position.
I was just commenting because you basically were going through the standings as we're going to go through the standings right now. So, as Stick said, I will take
praise in public, Phil. Criticize in private. Come on.
That's right. Here we go.
Phil's been very harsh the last couple of weeks.
I know. I'm angry. I'm angry these days. All right.
He spent all this time with these graphics. You got to totally step on his toes here.
Good point.
Here we go. So East, the Beavers, as said, 7-0. So West, our very own sponge fishermen at 5-2. The NoCo, Ampac, 6-1 with the loss to the Beavers. But then we got the Lizards there at 5-2, leading the other division. So those are your division leaders. In our next panel, we have teams in the race. We have the Wheels at 4-3. And then we got 4 teams sitting there at 3-4. The Aliens, Hams, Killers, Fats. All these guys, we got a chance here. These guys are in a different kind of race. Mongols, Devils, Senators. I know we're only at the midway point, but it's let's be candid. It's time to start looking to 2020.
Key loss for the Senators there for the
big loss.
But I mean, they're happy about it. They got a leg up on the number 1 pick.
The Mongols have beaten both of those teams now, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mongols are no better than the 3rd pick if everybody keeps losing.
Yep.
So, it's Senators are in the driver's seat for the number 1 pick at the moment. So we'll see.
Tough season for the Senators.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I don't have a lot on the agenda. This may be a quick webcast, but I do have 2 topics that are of importance. We've been talking a lot on the webcast this year about some big quarterback decisions. We talked about the Beavers starting Andy Dalton over Aaron Rodgers. More recently, we sort of picked on Berto for starting Gardner Minshew over Phillip Rivers. Maybe these aren't anomalies because you look, we haven't really talked much about Chief starting 4 different quarterbacks thus far this year through 7 weeks. I know there are other examples out there. We used to say you stick with your guys. Hank in particular has said, and this is an old cliche, if you have 2 starting quarterbacks, you have none. Chief has had 4, and he's 5-2. Bill in particular, who I know, I don't think he's watching live this week, but he's a webcast.
Somebody is watching live. We got a viewer.
Bill brought this up, and again, Bill started Dalton over Rodgers. Are we in an era of streaming quarterbacks now, where it's acceptable to do this, where it's smart to do this, where the idea that you have multiple starting quarterbacks no longer means you have no starting quarterbacks?
No. I think, I understand the question. It's good. The fact is, if I just start Kirk Cousins every game, as was the plan, I'd have one more win than I do now. I'd be 6-1. So I think a lot of it is impatience. Quarterback's not doing well. In the Kirk Cousins case, specific to the Vikings, looked like they were going to be a run first, second, and third team. I didn't see things getting better, so I pulled the trigger kind of early on that. Ampac started Matt Ryan this week for some reason. I don't know why. Scored 0 points for him. I think that was Ryan's first start, maybe second start. I think there's definitely teams in there that play matchups. I think, though, the preferred path is to have your Peyton Manning, your Andrew Luck, your prime years, Tom Brady, I can't say Aaron Rodgers anymore, but the quarterback that you just start every week, you live with the occasional dud, and you don't have to worry about benching him on a week he scores 25 points.
We talked about that either recently about there's only really a handful of those guys, though, that are active in the league right now. I mean, I like to think Deshaun Watson is one, maybe. Rodgers, as you mentioned. Who else we looking at?
Mahomes when he's healthy.
Yeah, Mahomes, of course. Jared Goff. But Dak Prescott, maybe. Is he somebody now that's in that category? Is Carson Wentz in that category?
Well, and the Lizards, we talked about this too. They went out and traded for Baker Mayfield, and I think a lot of us assumed he was going to be the guy every week, and the Lizards very quickly pivoted to Prescott.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, going back and forth with quarterback is a symptom that your team has an issue. I'll say that. So I agree with Chief to that you have your quarterback locked up, then you don't have to worry about that. That should hopefully, as a good team, be a position you don't need to worry about. So that was one thing. And then the second thing is you got to look, a couple of these teams have locked up a couple, like, the Hams having Mahomes and Russell Wilson,
mm-hmm.
the Pack having Matt Ryan and Tom Brady. So you had those guys who would be starters on a lot of other TFL teams are on one team. The Hams have only started Russell Wilson twice, and he's having an MVP season, right? Or maybe they started him 3 games, but less than half of their games. So, so there's less of those guys. And I also agree with Phil. There's less of those guys to go around on top of that. So some of us are scrambling to find the right guy to start week after week. And that's where we're at. And the other thing, too, is there's some really good teams right now in the TFL, and there's a lot of, middling to not great teams.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we have a big, thick pack in the middle underneath those division leaders. But I made a note that, Aaron Rodgers this last week scored 49 points as a fantasy player, which would have beaten 3 teams by himself in our league this week. Just Aaron Rodgers versus 3 teams in our league, he wins. So having those quarterbacks, and there are only probably less than 5, or less than 8 for sure, that are every week starters. It's a big deal.
I think some of this may even just be boredom and people, liking the gambling of, picking the right quarterback week to week. Makes it a little more interesting. I don't know.
Well, I mean, there's some really bad NFL teams out there too. So
you can roll the dice.
And I get there is every year, right? But if you have if you're throwing your hands up in the air, okay, I'm going to start, my one mediocre quarterback against a real shitty defense. And that's exactly what I did with Gardner Minshew, because I watched that Chargers game the week before, and the Chargers offensive line is awful. And my thought was, I got to do something else because Phillip Rivers is going to get killed. He's immobile to begin with, and he's old. And, I gotta have a backup plan here. Maybe it's not a great backup plan. And then I was like, well, fuck it. He's playing the Bengals, and Rivers has not been great. I'm just going to throw him in there. I
have to confess, I I agree with I think everybody here. If you can get a stud quarterback, that's obviously the goal. But Carson Wentz right now does not quite look like a stud quarterback. He's at Buffalo this week. Matt Stafford at home against the Giants. I'm taking a good look at that.
Yeah, as you should.
I think it was maybe 2 years ago. We talked about, if you could sign up for X number of points every week at quarterback and just be done with it, what would that number be? And I don't know if it was 15 or 17, but somewhere in that range. And that was the point Bill made to me. Is I think a lot of people are just hoping if I can get 2 touchdowns out of my quarterback, I'll be content and leave it to the rest of my lineup. And so you go with the safe quarterback against a weak NFL defense, knowing you can get your 2 TDs. And
yeah, so 17 is a 300-yard game, 2 TDs, and 1 interception. That's the 17, which is okay. Yeah, I take that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
These days, I'd take that from Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know the math, but I'm wondering how many quarterbacks per week on average get there. I bet it's less than 12.
And real quick, Chief sort of touched on this. I think it is worth noting we did knock Jameis Winston after his 6 turnover performance right after Chief got him. But yeah, the bigger story in the background is how good Kirk Cousins has been as a fantasy player the last couple of weeks.
Don't jinx it, Stick. I mean, we all know Kirk Cousins. This is the man who will look great, and then when we need him, when it counts, when you got to be clutch, he won't be.
I think it's as much the play calling as anything. They seem to be in a nice groove.
At least
the Vikings look awesome right now.
Yeah. All right, a topic we teed up a little bit last week, and the Beavers deserve for us to talk about them a little bit at 7-0 now. But the story here isn't just that they're 7-0; it's that they're undefeated at this point in the season, after being the worst team in the league last year, earning the number 1 overall pick in the draft this year. I think there are some fairly obvious answers, but let's ask the question of how did they do it. And see if we can extend that and provide some lessons, if possible, for the teams that are struggling this year that might want to have a quick turnaround in 2020. What do you see?
Well, it's interesting that they play the Senators this week because they are like mirror images, or whatever, the inverse images of each other. Right, and we were talking about this, Stick, before you joined. Right, the Senators went from Pac-12 finalist to 0-7.
Yeah,
and they literally switched places, with the Beavers here. And I think that, hopefully, El Senatore is going to be listening and taking notes here. Well, look, I think the obvious thing here is that they've added Le'Veon Bell, and I don't think he's scoring a great amount of points this year, but he's giving him more than they gave him last year. We occupied a roster slot because you can't cut him, right? You can't IR him. So that was a slot they couldn't use to replace him. Obviously, they had the number 1 pick in the draft. For a team that was probably had too much talent to get the number 1 pick in the draft, and Josh Jacobs looks like a pretty good player. Christian McCaffrey, we talked about him, I think, last week, 2 weeks ago. He's front runner for MVP. He is a fail-safe. I don't think as a player I would start with more confidence right now than Christian McCaffrey. And then, and I say we, but maybe it's I, gave him a lot of shit over the years. He seemed to love Chris Godwin, and Kenny Galladay before deserved to do so. It reminded me, Stick, and it's funny because when I first got to this league, you kept on keeping Plexico Barris. I kept on saying, why is he keeping Plexico? Finally, after like 4 years of keeping him, he became like an all-pro level player. So he stuck with these guys,
yep.
And maybe not Galladay, but definitely Godwin. And, they're seeing him pay off. I think I talked a little bit too much. I hope I didn't. I hope I left some answers for the rest of the panel. But yeah, I think it's just some good luck and some good foresight.
Eddie, Yeah, I mean, he tanked properly last year too. So he worked his way into the number one pick. I don't remember who he purged last year exactly, but he did, I think, trade some folks away. And I remember last year, right? We were like, Bill, you're giving up so early on the season, right? And he did, right? He kind of threw in the towel early, and he said, "All right, I'm going for the number one pick," and he did that pretty early in the season. So that's the impatient part of Bill. But the patience that Chief kind of alluded to, he has shown patience with other parts of his team. Kenny Galladay and some other guys that he's got that are paying dividends. So. Yeah, I don't know. It's he's done some good things with the team for sure.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And Godwin's is having a great season. But look, you're looking at Rodgers and Bell; those are strong guys to have at the top of your lineup. So, good for Bill. McCaffrey is excellent. He's been solid as it can be. We've said it all. The Beavers are awesome. They're destined to win the whole thing.
Bell has actually been very, very mediocre this year.
Yeah.
He doesn't have his low end though. Is he's still getting 3 or 4 points every week, but he's only getting a touchdown in 100.
I'll give you two things that might go a little below the radar here. One, Aaron Rodgers doesn't really go below the radar, but we've talked for several years here about the Rodgers and Goff dilemma that he had. I think there were times we actually thought he was going to trade away Aaron Rodgers if somebody would give him a big enough package. He ultimately traded away Goff, and Rodgers, at least now certainly looks like a stud again. You guys mentioned Chris Godwin. There's a backstory to that I can't quite remember, but Bill traded somebody this offseason to you, Chief, perhaps? He traded somebody away that essentially freed up
Lamar Miller to me.
To you, okay. That was kind of a savvy move, and that he really got to get Chris Godwin as part of that trade by freeing up a keeper spot to keep Godwin, and still keeping obviously a good running back core in McCaffrey and Bell, and knowing he was going to get Jacobs, he could afford to trade away Miller. Got draft assets in return and got the ability to keep Chris Godwin. So well done, Bill. We'll it's been a while since we've had him on the webcast. We'll bring him on soon. All right, Chief, in Terry's absence this week, can you run through the schedule and give us a game of the week to talk about?
Boy, we really are wrapping this up fast. Sure. We'll start with the non-games of the week as usual. The Sponge are at the Mongols. Hams are the Devils. That's really a must-win game for the Hams. Aliens at the K-Wheels. We have some inter-panel matchup here. Boba Fett's at Giant Killers. Really a must-win for the Giant Killers, too. Or else, Boba Fett gets right up there with the rest of them.
Yep.
And Senators the Beavers, what we were just talking about. It would be a good time for the Senators to show what they're made of here. So we talked about the Beavers at length just now. I think the other two teams that are in a conversation for the best team in the league would be the Lizards and the MPAC. So I think that is our game of the week. Excuse me. I noticed Tom Brady back in the lineup for the Pack, who scored 91 points without any from the quarterback position last week. Chase Edmonds drawing in for the Lizards. I think we all saw that coming. Anytime I look down the Impact lineup, I always see who gets the short straw on the running back. I guess with Zeke Elliott and Mark Ingram on bye this week, doesn't really matter. That decision's been made for him. So Ralph is without a few weapons, but he's strong enough at that position. It doesn't even matter. But the Lizards have a chance here. If Baker Mayfield has a good game and him and Brady going head-to-head, I could see the Lizards stealing a win here. If I was a betting man, I wouldn't bet on it. but I think they'll cover the 12-point spread.
Let's go, Lizards. Let's see that happen. Berto and I agree. Let's beat the AMPAC.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, well, actually, I'm rooting for the AMPAC.
Yeah, exactly. You're not going to catch the AMPAC.
But this week they can beat the Lizards. That's okay. Or they can lose to the Lizards. But I went back and looked at the archives as they are, a little dated stick.
How are those archives?
Yeah, several years old. But the AMPAC, 81.7 they're averaging. That's the highest of any team. The closest team was the 98 Lizards at 81.6, and the 2004 Devils at 78.2.
Wow.
So this
what
team,
are they averaging? What's the number?
81.7.
Wow.
So this team is motoring. I mean, and you look at the draft, Darren Waller, that's a guy I like too.
Yeah.
But man, he's been good. He's in the lineup this week. I think he was in the lineup last week for Ralph.
Yep.
He's got Tyreek Hill back. This team is loaded. Leonard Fournette is playing great. I mean, it's sick.
But listen to this. This is a stat that I wrote down. In the 7 weeks, these numbers are as follows: 7, 22, 2, 6, 3, 14, 12. That is the scores of the New England Patriots defense. Yes. Every week he's gotten points from them, including 22, 14, and 12 in 7 weeks. The Patriots defense is huge.
While we're throwing stats out there, a friend of mine texted me today. He said if the Pats offense hadn't scored a point this season, they would be 3-3-1.
Wow.
The offense had not scored a point. They would have a 500 record. How crazy.
They're dominating.
Because and this is God's honest truth. Ralph took the Patriots defense right before I was. So I said, you know what? All the years in the league, I've never had the Patriots defense or a Patriots kicker. I was going to jump on me, take him right before me. I was reading, I think, on ESPN standard scoring leagues, the Patriots are the 7th highest player in the league.
They're on fire.
Like the second highest non-quarterback. It's just absurd.
Nuts.
And I'd like to say there's no way it can keep happening, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's obviously the big game. There's that Cleveland-New England game. You got Mayfield, Brady at the quarterback spots. You got the Patriots defense that could be a factor again. But yeah, the Amsterdam Packers with Ingram and Elliott on the bench still are a scary starting lineup. I think they win this game.
Yeah.
Let me just make one more point because it doesn't happen very often. Right now, Ralph's defense is so good. This is a defense. You pick up a second one to cover the bye week, but you don't trade the first defense or waive the first defense. Do so, right? Usually you have to pick up a second. You exchange your defense.
Yeah.
All right, let me trade my Titans defense for my Lions defense because they've already gone through the bye or whatever. Very rarely. It happened to me once with Denver back in the Peyton Manning last year, where a defense is so good that you can't throw them back into the free agent pool.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
One other point on the Amsterdam Packers, their 81.7 point per game average. That is not inflated by 130 point game they have not hit 100 points this year. They've been very consistent with 96, 85, 86, 89, 91. They've got a lot of people scoring points, and they just do it consistently.
Yeah, it's a damn shame.
Good team. Yeah. I'm looking up. Matt Ryan has 0 points. His kicker last week, had
91 points with a 0 from the quarterback. That's impressive.
0 from the quarterback and a 6 from Mason Crosby at kicker. I felt like I was in good shape, and he just kept stacking touchdowns. Darren Waller in particular, huge game.
It'll be interesting to see what Baker Mayfield does, and don't forget that they Kerryon Johnson out
Yep.
for the Liz, and Justin fucking Tucker is on bye as well. So
Justin Tucker.
All right. Let me give you a TFFL trivia answer.
I got to go Hank here.
Hank and Chief are correct. Well done. The Can-Am Fever with Phil Sampson as the minority owner supporting Mike Ruggiero.
I couldn't remember if that was pre-1997 because I remember Sampson being in it and he knew nothing about the TFL.
The only other option was really Thornburg. I think Adam was our last co-owner to join.
He was. Yeah. Thornburg and Shively teamed up early, like 2000, 99.
Thornburg is doing some research on that. I was surprised it was some point in the 2000s. I thought he was.
I wouldn't have gotten that, so I don't feel too bad about
it. And Terry confirms that Bobby Vaughn joined the Mongols a year or two after the league started. So
all right,
there you go.
Fucking Penn State will start multiplying.
Chief gets 4. Hank gets 4. Berto gets 0.
Well done, guys.
Sorry.
Yeah, that was nice work, guys.
All right. We have updated standings. This is exciting for me. In first place,
in last place.
Per usual, in first place is Chief with 23.
Yes.
Second place, Hank with 16.
Ooh.
Berto's in 13 with third with 13. TR with 7 and the guest with 1. So there we are. There's your standings.
All right. So we're going to wrap up here in under 35 minutes. Mm-hmm. But I have to point out to Chief and those of our listeners who aren't in the TFBA, we did our TFBA draft on Sunday night. 24 minutes. Done.
Start to finish.
Yeah.
How many rounds is that?
10 rounds.
13. Oh, we have 3. You're right.
3 keepers, 10 rounds, 8 teams, 80 picks. But we were efficient, and it's the ESPN site, so you have a minute whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
But we were all on top of it, and it was just amazing. You looked up at the end, and it was done in 24 minutes.
Yeah. No auto drafts, right? Or
Michael
one guy.
All right, so hey, we'll be back next Wednesday, October 30th, Halloween Eve. Good night for everybody to do it, I hope. But let me know if you have Halloween festivities that night. So yeah, good luck to everybody in week 8. I'm going to root for the AMPAC this week. I hate to tell you guys. Take down the Lizards. Berto, who are you facing again?
I am playing. Who am I playing?
You got the Fats, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah. Please take down the Fats. And Chief, keep it up. 5-2. Hank, our winning teams on the panel.
Yeah, we need to continue that trend. But hey, I got you right.
Yeah,
we got a webcast battle this week.
Yep.
I really don't like that the Rams are playing the Bengals this week. That's not good.
That stinks. That does stink.
The
Rams.
It's not helping the cause, but
no.
Yeah. Because I was bummed last week. I finally had Saquon back. I had my whole team line up ready to go. I felt like I had my best lineup on the field, and they sucked. It was just terrible. So
didn't Kalen Ballage get in the end zone?
Yeah, he's on the bench though.
Yeah.
All
right.
Yeah.
So yeah, good luck to everybody. Chief, keep up your winning ways. Hank, we'll get you back to 500.
No, I'm going the other way.
We could.
You want to get to 500. You want to get up there.
We'll see. Yeah, exactly. We could see more mushiness, or you could start to put. You would really pull away in the wild card race.
Wheels a 12-point favorite.
Yep. My lineup is still a state in progress. I got some.
You've got to get somebody. It looks like to me.
What's going on with Kamara? Is he?
That's a big question.
He hasn't practiced yet.
They did release I think 1 or 2 running backs at the time that he might be on the active list, but I've got Latavius Murray in there at the moment, but we'll see what the news is on Kamara.
How about a 3 touchdown week for DJ Shark?
No.
Sure.
No.
Minshew still in your lineup?
Yep.
All right.
Against the Jets, I think so.
Yeah, I guess the Jets for sure. Sam Darnold, did you guys see that thing I say with him seeing ghosts? Did you see that quote?
Yeah, you don't want to say that when you're mic'd up.
The Jets might not recover from that beating.
Yeah, that was like, I can't handle this job kind of
Coming
stuff.
off beating the Cowboys, Jets aren't that bad. Darnold's back, and that's just a crushing loss.
Yeah,
Seeing ghosts out there.
Yeah. And you got to remember you're on the mic and you don't say shit like that.
The Jets were apparently all upset with NFL Films and ESPN for airing that. Fuck that.
Yeah.
A, you're mic'd up.
I agree.
B, as fans, if you're not gonna show me that, I mean, that's gold. Right. If you're not gonna show me that, I don't give a shit about seeing Sam Darnold pat his guys on the shoulder pads, and give me the real stuff. Yeah.
That was good because usually it's such garbage on that.
Yeah.
Somebody being stupid or
hey, let's go.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
That's what I want. Let's see what kind of guts he's got, and let's see how it goes here. Because he's taking huge shit for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a terrible game.
Yeah, he did.
So that would be the consensus, everyone here, though, right? Gardner Minshew against the Jets versus Rivers against the Bears. It's got to be Minshew.
100%.
Yeah.
I've got Melvin Gordon on the bench against the Bears, if that helps you. Rationale.
The Bears are tough to play. And it's in Chicago.
Who would you put in for Melvin Gordon? Let's see here.
At the moment, I've got Latavius Murray in there basically for him.
Okay.
Carlos Hyde and Devontae Freeman. Carlos Hyde against Oakland.
Yeah, I'd go. So you're basically Carlos Hyde over Gordon.
Yeah, and of course I can play LaShawn McCoy against. I've got running back options.
We could continue this conversation after we end the webcast.
This is true too. So
where do you got to go? You don't think our audience of one is enjoying this conversation?
This is bonus coverage.
So am I wrong to sit Jacoby Brissett down in favor of Jameis Winston this week?
All right, let's wrap up. Everybody, good luck. We are. I always think of the stretch run starting in week 9. So let's see where things stand after this coming week. Probably more trades to talk about in the weeks ahead. But only one week that's important right now. It's this weekend ahead. Good luck to everybody. We'll see you back here on October 30th. Take care.
Good night.
Good night. Go K-Wheels.